Hey, what's going on? It's Stokely from Sauce on Delay. I just put a cover on this used phone that I have, so now I feel a little more comfortable because it's very small compared to my old device. Now it feels a little more comfortable and I feel a little more confident holding it because it has some grip to it. So I had seen an article in the past where it was talking about there's an association with marijuana and depression. Now, it was unknown whether it was causation, which one was causing which. Maybe the person that was depressed was using it to self-medicate. Maybe that's why more people with depression, maybe that's why they found that people who use marijuana are depressed because they were using it to treat their depression. Or it was causing the depression. They could not determine the statistics of whatever survey it was, couldn't determine which one was which. Whether it was causing the depression or these people were already depressed before they became users. So now I just saw an article in what's called the Epic Times or the Epoch Times. It's not a full article, but it's an Instagram post. And it points out something. If you watch, like I said, I saw Ric Flair, Snoop Doggy Dogg. You got Even Corrupt. That's also from the Dog Pound, also from Death Row Records. You got many rap artists and other celebrities that I don't know, that I don't really know, that have their own strains of marijuana that are basically genetically modified or enhanced or specially cultivated or whatever the case may be. They're doing all kind of stuff to it. So it's more powerful and more potent than what was used during the 1970s with the hippies. The marijuana that the hippies were consuming, smoking, whatever, is not the same as the ones that are available nowadays. The potency is on a totally different level. So let me see if I can read this while I'm on the road. So this is from the Epoch Times or Epic Times. It's Epoch. This is not Epic. People pronounce it as Epic. It's Epoch. As drug legalization groups and the cannabis industry lobby to legalize cannabis across the United States with initiatives to legalize marijuana on the November ballot in 5 or more states, many experts warn this will only increase the physical and mental harm from the unregulated high-potency cannabis. President of the American Board of Pain Medicine and Vice President of the International Academy on Science and Impacts of Cannabis, Dr. Ken Finn, said high-potency cannabis is being linked to poisonings in young children, as well as psychosis and schizophrenia in an increasing number of regular users. A lot of my colleagues that work in psychiatry and emergency medicine are seeing a sharp rise in marijuana-related psychosis, Finn told NTD's The Nation Speaks on October 1st in an October 1st interview. Data from Europe ties these mental health problems to high levels of THC, of the THC chemical in cannabis that causes people to feel high, Finn said. So, it's probably behind a paywall. Let's see. Let's click the link in the bio. Let's see if maybe we can get access to an expanded version of it. But the basic premise of what we just discussed is that the weed that's available now is not the weed that your grandmother, your grandfather, your father, your mother were smoking back in the 1970s. It's not. It's not. It's not really a paywall, but they want me to give them my email address at least to be able to send me marketing information. I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm driving right now. I gave an excuse. I'm driving right now. I can read whatever's for free, but I can't read stuff that requires me to do anything else. So so we see here. This is something that this is not what I didn't really speak on this, but what I was saying is that marijuana is, I think, good for medicinal, but not good for recreation. Like my son's grandmother says, too much of anything isn't good for you. And where I'm from, they say, too much of one thing good for nothing, right? So too much of something is not good for you. It's saying it two different ways, right? Saying the same thing. In the case of even, let's look at this, alcohol, they said that alcohol is now researched to not be good in any concentration at all, in any kind of uses, not even in recreational, not even in social circles. Some people would drink and say, oh, I only drink socially. That's not even healthy for you. Oh, taking in one glass of wine every day, oh, that's not good for you either, No level of alcohol is good for your body. So, something that's used medicinally is used to treat a condition. Something that's used recreationally is used willy-nilly. Now, your doctor, you typically, when he prescribes you some kind of medication, he says takes this amount of pills per day and take it with a meal or whatever, or you know what I mean. So let's look at the opioid epidemic. The opioids, like I can't remember what the name of it is. OxyContin, yeah. OxyContin, I think that comes in pills, right? So the OxyContin pills initially, from my understanding, were used for people who had severe physical ailments like, muscle pain or joint pain, or, like they just came from a surgery or something like that. So the doctor would prescribe them around the OxyContin or whatever, or something like that. But what would happen is now when the pain is gone, or they have chronic pain, they just use it all the time, not based on the intervals that were prescribed. So as a result, their body becomes dependent upon it and they need it all the time. And then after, or in the instance where they can't afford OxyContin, then they start getting on heroin or another opiate to replace that feeling or replace that relief, So the OxyContin was a gateway to severe drug use, to drug abuse, and that's why that the medical company got sued and had to pay millions of dollars in restitution. I don't know who they paid it, but there's a huge lawsuit regarding OxyContin. Not only just because of how it causes people to drive people to addiction and death, but because of their marketing strategy also. But and their irresponsibility, and some of the doctors were irresponsible with prescribing it and becoming basically drug dealers. So marijuana now, the legalization of marijuana in Colorado reduced alcoholism, and from my understanding, and that's documented, and just from my memory, the legalization of marijuana also reduces opioid overdoses and opioid addiction. That's on a statistical level. That's from my limited understanding. But the other one where I say it reduces alcoholism in the respective jurisdiction that it's legalized in, that's facts. That's from the news. So there's some benefits, and it's quote unquote not as harsh, less addicting than the hard drugs. But what we're talking about here is high potency marijuana, which is a different, little different thing. it's much stronger than the one that, like I said, your grandmother, your grandfather, and your father, they weren't smoking this kind of weed. This kind of weed has a high THC content that is not, not the one that the human body was developed living alongside for the past thousands of years. This is something different, So what is being noticed by some people who are paying attention is that it's causing people to go through schizophrenia. And I think I've observed this. They always said anecdotally that, weed makes you paranoid. If you even watch the movie Half Baked, the guys act all paranoid and stuff like that. So there must be some foundation. There must be some credibility, some credence to that, as we can see that doctors, are observing links to schizophrenia. But from what I just read, he doesn't have any research documentation right now. He's going based on what his friends in the industry, in the business, are telling him. And then there's also people who smoke synthetic marijuana, which is like the K2s and stuff like that, which I don't really see why they need to do that now that marijuana is legalized. You don't need to buy fake weed. K2 was basically killing people in New York, let's say about 4 years ago, before marijuana was legalized. K2 was killing a lot of people. You had people falling out on the street, like dehydrated and all kind of issues with them. So I don't know. Who knows what was in K2? Nobody really knows what was in K2. They were spraying it with all kind of different things. So who knows what was in K2? It could have been some of the synthetic drugs that come from China. Could have been fentanyl. Could have been carfentanil. Could have been, OxyContins. But I don't know if you can even smoke OxyContin. I don't know. But whatever was smokable. Anyhow. Basically, that's what I'm saying is, medicinally, to treat your issues, treat your anxiety, but not constant use, not abuse, not I'm from Jamaica. They smoke. You don't need to smoke a big head, like they say. A big head is a marijuana joint, a marijuana cigarette that's very thick. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what people are doing, but I guess they don't need to smoke a big head anymore because they can smoke a little joint that is so ram-packed at THC that, it'll just, I don't know, send them to the moon. And, it's unfortunate, it's glorified. Like I said, this is something else that was glorified in music. But the weed that Bob Marley was smoking is not the weed that you're smoking right now. Bob Marley was smoking some weed, yeah. Bob Marley was also in shape. If you see Bob Marley playing soccer, Peter Tosh was smoking weed. You see Peter Tosh riding his unicycle, practicing karate. You see Bunny Wailer playing his soccer too. These guys are fit. You see, look at them, they're ripped. They got 6 packs. These guys were, really in shape. I mean, that doesn't. So, they weren't smoking weed the whole time. Plus, they were vegetarians. So, their whole thing was kind of different. They're way ahead of the game. But at the time, like I was saying, we evolved with certain plants next to us. That's why people talk about GMO. GMO is a new genetic thing. It's genetically modified organism. So the food that's genetically modified is not the same food that the human body evolved with for the past however long humans were on the earth. So it's foreign to us. Our body can't digest it and deal with it. Now, marijuana as a whole, I mean, inhaling smoke is never, inhaling smoke is never a good thing. And inhaling smoke from a weed that's really foreign is probably not good either. I don't know if I said before, but the best way to get the benefits of marijuana is consuming it, consuming it as in eating it. You get the omega-3 fatty acids and all that stuff. You get I guess you get the THC also, but you don't know how, since a lot of these things are illicit and underground, you don't know what quality controls are involved. And that's what the legalization is all about, quality control. But from my understanding, you can go to these dispensaries and get, I guess you can get high THC. I really don't know how it works, but I guess you can get high THC marijuana that's gonna end up having you schizophrenic and crazy. That's tragic, I mean, I don't want to use the word crazy. I'm sorry. Crazy is not the word. That's a derogatory term, and I apologize for using that. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. I passed by that article, saw that article, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's terrible. I don't know how the high potency marijuana is developed, how it got to that point, but it's apparently dangerous. It's apparently not good for you. You hear people talk about mid or Reggie. Those are undesirable terms when it comes in respect to marijuana. People want the most potent, most mind-blowing, I don't know if it gives you a headache, but I don't know. Maybe it gives you a headache too. I really don't know. You know what I mean? I've tried marijuana maybe on 3 occasions through my life. Maybe once when I was about 19. Or maybe one time when I was about 34. Yeah, maybe twice. Yeah, twice. Twice I tried marijuana. And there's something missing in my brain because it didn't do anything to me. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any better. I just felt a burning, disgusting sensation in my mouth from the smoke and all of that. And, people get, even in the comments of that post, where they're trying to be, I would like to think they're trying to be helpful. People were saying, oh, well, you're okay, so you want more opioid overdoses then. Oh, you must be working for the corporations, which it might be. It might be a hit piece by the corporations. People put out hit piece articles all the time. But what they missed in the verbiage of the post is that it zeroed down its issue with the high potency, high THC marijuana, which is not a normal heirloom, historically produced, developed, cultivated plant. The high THC marijuana is something that's carefully engineered. So they weren't condemning or chastising the whole Megillah or the whole plethora of marijuana, the whole spectrum of it. No, it wasn't chastising the whole thing. It wasn't condemning or commenting on the whole thing. It was just commenting on a narrow band of the high potency, high THC marijuana, which this person observed to cause schizophrenia and other issues. So it hey, I don't know. I think that people are in pain, emotional, psychological, physical, spiritual, even maybe. People feel lost. People are caught up in materialism, consumerism, these empty, traditions, these empty paths that aren't fulfilling them. They're being pulled and swayed by whatever trends are going on right now. They're being influenced by social media and the news and the politicians, and then they just have the regular daily life issues, of a human being's existence, So people are suffering, people are in pain, and people need a coping mechanism. And they're going to seek a coping mechanism, because who would actually light something on fire and inhale the smoke in their mouth? Unless it's going to give them something, unless it's going to benefit them in some kind of way. Of course, yes, we get initiated and get corrupted by our friends, and we do things that aren't even really fun anyhow, just to get social acceptance. Yeah, but you continuing it when you're not around them, you must get something from it. I'm going off on tangents, but all I'm saying is that if you're a consumer of marijuana, maybe you want to stick to the mids and the Reggies. I don't even know if that's a thing that's even sold, because what business would make any money from that, since everybody is, including the rappers and the singers, and everybody is saying that mid and Reggie are terrible things. Maybe your brain can't handle high grade. Maybe your brain can't handle OG Kush. Maybe your brain can't handle sour diesel. Maybe your brain can't handle what do they call it? Oh my gosh, it's called something like E98 or E95 or something like that, like some kind of fuel grade. Maybe your brain can't handle the purple haze. Maybe your brain can't handle all of that garbage. Maybe your brain can only handle a mid. Maybe your brain can't even handle mid. Maybe your brain can only handle Reggie. Maybe your brain can't handle none of it, any of it. Maybe you need to address what the underlying issue that's triggering you, that caused you to have to smoke marijuana. Maybe you have to find other coping mechanisms that don't require any psychotropics, because basically you're just tricking your brain. You're pouring a chemical in your brain so that you can deal with reality, but your reality doesn't change. Just your perception of reality changes momentarily, but your reality is still the same. So maybe you got to change that reality, Maybe you got to become whatever it needs to become to, or change or get out of, or, something has to change. Something has to change, Medicating every day, not only is it expensive, but as we can see here, economically, it might be detrimental. It might cause you to have schizophrenia, which is very unfortunate. People are seeking help. People are seeking relief from life. People are seeking relief from life. You know what I mean? A relief from reality, a relief from responsibility, a relief from dealing with the real issues, a relief from confrontation. So they want to wind down, they want to relax, they want to, is that so bad? That's not so bad. That's not bad at all. That's nice. That's good. I want that. But the way that you go about it might destroy you, self-medicate. Recreational use of anything, recreational use of alcohol, recreational use of food, recreational use of marijuana. It's a recreational use of food is going to have you having health issues. Recreational use of alcohol is going to have you having pancreas and liver issues, possibly. Recreational use of marijuana, as we can see now, is a threat to your brain and your mental health, especially if it's high potency, high grade THC marijuana. CBD is something else. I discussed the difference between what I discussed already, what CBD is in another post. But hey, man, I'm no better than anybody, so I'm not. Don't take it that way. Actually, I got some bills I gotta pay. Shoot, I forgot the thing. I got some bills I gotta pay, all these letters and stuff like that. I wish I could escape from that. But I'm not going to win the lotto, and I'm not going to, lotto. Look at that. Lotto is the next thing. Gambling. Anyhow, thanks for listening.